You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who, disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, this is Walter and iWalter. It's Tuesday night at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. on November 10th. Now, believe it or not, tomorrow, because a friend thought he figured it out himself, though. He thought that yesterday, Monday, was actually Veterans Day. No, that's actually coming up. He did figure it out. It's coming up tomorrow. My show will go until tomorrow, most likely, so by the time I put this up, it will be Veterans Day when people hear this. I apologize. I had to take a swallow. My throat's been really dry. I've been drinking, regular iced tea, no sugar and everything. I get it at this place called Quiznos, because I went and seen that movie, The Peanuts. Yeah, I know it's a kid's movie, but I grew up with that stuff, so I really don't care. But Quiznos was right down the road. I went to Movie Tavern in Collegeville, and because it was the cheapest place I could go, and I went there. But afterwards, I went to Quiznos, and my throat was so freaking dry from drinking all this tea with a lot of lemon and stuff like that. So, plus it gives you a lot of makes you crap a lot too. Anything you eat just gets washed out with regular tea. That's what tea is. It's like a diuretic. Anyway, what I wanted to do, I'm going to do this the first time I've done this in a while. I've finally grasped, I would say, how to use GarageBands, and it works very well with my new mic setup I've had for a while. I've been using it for the last couple of shows, and the mics are actually cheaper, but I think I perfected that. I got the reverb up right now. But yeah, there's certain things you got to do with GarageBands. Turn your reverb all the way down and turn your ambience completely off too, and that should correct that problem. Anyway, what I want to do now, I'm going to try to play the soundbite from Rush, because once again, it's something that reinstates what I've been saying for years, and I've been saying a lot since I started doing these podcasts, that people act like they're victims. And, this generation of children and kids and even adults all act like they're victims, and, it's because of the Democrats and the left-wing wackos. They've convinced every person who is considered to be in a minority that they've been victimized and they're not getting treated wrongfully, and they don't get the respect they deserve, even though they get everything handed to them on the silver platter, and that's not enough. So you got a bunch of big babies right now, and it always comes back. Somehow the reflection comes onto me that I'm not doing my share of being a responsible human being, while you have like 94 million people out there who are really not responsible for what they do, their actions. I got plenty of stories about that. And just acting like it's mainly with minorities, include women, just playing the victim role very well. And it gets really old. It really does. So I want to play this soundbite. I found it actually on Monday's show from Rush Limbaugh. And when I heard it, it was like, wow, this man, not that this, God, I wish it was the truth, but it sounded like he was actually listening to me, and he was taking some cues off of me on what to do the show about. Today's show was the same way. I started listening to it. It was him, for once, actually agreeing, almost not in a direct way, but he was pretty much on the same page as I was. So let me get this out of the way. It'll make it a little easier, because when I do edits that are really rough, and like normally what I would do is before I lead into this, I would stop, edit what I have right now, and then do a separate edit for the audio, and then go do another edit and try to glue them all together, so to speak, or puzzle the pieces together. And that is physically, that's just impossible to do. So I think I'm pretty good with GarageBand, so I'm going to pause it now. I will put in the edit from Rush. Now, it was his first hour on Monday that he had discussed what exactly I've been talking about, but apparently by most people, I have no clue what I'm talking about. But now that somebody who, is a professional radio personality and is saying exactly what I've been saying for years, maybe people might reconsider that I am not as crazy or as nuts as you think I am. So let me pause and put that in right now. Okay, listen to this segment. It's only like less than a minute, so I think you will enjoy it. Okay, thanks.
We don't have students anymore. We have institutions of higher victimization. We are turning every student, or we are allowing students to adopt victim status as a means of getting what they want, including grades. In the list of student demands, there is this demand that the university be more accepting of marginalized students. That means two things. Of course, marginalized is a racial reference, but it also has to do with students who might be flunking out. We're supposed to overlook it. We're not supposed to punish students who are not getting good grades because it's not their fault. They're victims of a racist hierarchy and patriarchy on campus, and they're doing the best they can, and you've got to respect and understand with all the stress and all the pressure and all the racism, they're doing the best they can, and you can't flunk them.
All right. Hey, hopefully you enjoyed that, folks. I don't think that's the right word to use, enjoy. But, this has been going on since I was in college, the exact same thing. And when I mentioned it years ago, everybody thought, like, oh, you're just crazy. You have no clue what you're talking about. These people really are smart. It's not that they're dumb and they're just being handed grades. Where do you get this idea from, Walter? You have no clue what you're talking about. So, again, hearing this up front and, bringing this to light definitely made me feel a little reassured that I'm not crazy. Actually, it's funny because not really, but where I work, again, I might be out until January, hopefully not indefinitely. I want to go back to work sometime because it does get kind of boring trying to find things to keep me busy. Not really. I can find things to keep me busy, but I'd rather feel more productive. I don't want things just handed to me. I know other people will enjoy that because my one friend who will hear now that I just said, oh, I'm getting kind of bored of being home. No, I'll find things to do. I will always find things to keep me busy and productive things too. But he will take that one grain of what I just said and he will, basically take it out of proportion. Anyway, there was a woman at work. There's multiple people, but this one particular woman at work, she and her she has a daughter-in-law that works at where I work. They both got fired for basically doing a major screw-up at work. And what that consisted of, they had to deliver things that had to be delivered right away because they were under, hundreds of degrees below freezing because the stuff they were supposed to be delivering, they weren't delivering. They were falsifying information. And it was DNA specimens. And DNA cost millions of dollars for each specimen. Well, they got destroyed, so they obviously, for not delivering the product properly, basically falsifying information, they got fired. So where I work is a union. The union fought to bring them back in, told them what they needed to do to get their jobs back, which is basically, hey, I'm not making this up, but if you're a woman, cry and put out pictures because the one was a single mother at the time. And it said, put out the picture of your kids, tell them how hard you're having it, give a hard luck story, and they'll bring you back. Well, they did. Well, the main woman, that wasn't the one with the kids. Well, she has kids, but her daughter-in-law did this. But they both got fired. They're both back at the job I work at. And yet they don't get reprimanded, and they got back pay for the time they lost. They got everything back that they lost, and anything else was given to them. Now, me, they just give me a hard time. Now, I'm getting paid to be out on some type of leave, but I'm missing out on feeling like I'm doing something productive. If the possibility did come up for overtime at my job, I'm not getting any of that. And you think they're going to pay me for unpaid overtime when I get back? I seriously doubt it. So anyway, this woman, the job she got fired from, she got brought back. She couldn't go back to that job. This same woman, though, she actually bid on a job I heard the other day. And the job she bid on actually ended up, she bid on the job. And now she not only bid on it, but she actually got a job as what's called a group leader. So that being said, she is getting a job not only back where she got fired from, but she's also getting some type of kind of like a manager's job on top of it. Not quite a manager. It's almost like equivalent to being a third key, which the money is going to be a lot more money. It's going to be $40 an hour as opposed to what I made when I was there, like $32, $33 an hour. So they basically rewarded her for costing the company millions of dollars. Apparently that's not a big issue, but me, I was a big liability and putting product in jeopardy. And yet this woman ruined specimens that cost millions of dollars. But nothing said about that because, and again, that's why I even played that thing with Rush, because things where people are playing the victim or getting their way, and costing institutions millions of dollars doesn't just happen in the educational field. It also happens in the workplace and in everyday life. So I just wanted to make that, note it. That this stuff it's everywhere, but it's been happening since I was in college, and I graduated from college almost. One institution, college institution that I went to, it's been 20 years ago, and the other one is going on 14 years. So that being said, and that stuff was very big back then, and it continues today, but even much worse. And it's just going to be the collapse of the United States, of people who don't want to work. This afternoon, being off, I noticed this more often, more so than I did in the past. But the amount of people not only not working, but just basically it's not stopping them from driving their cars or basically paying for their entertainment. We're paying for that. Our taxes are. So at 2:00 this afternoon, I had taken a picture in front of my house from my window, and there was traffic through our development from one end of the development to the other. It was like about 40 cars. And these are people who are not working. And they're not coming home from work. They are not going to a job. But they are not missing out on any type of entertainment out of their life. So that being said, you got to keep that in consideration too, that people are not suffering. Rush made this comment before too. Just because people don't work and don't have an income, they still own their own homes. They also own, They also own brand new cars, and they get food stamps. And on top of that, they're also getting money for their entertainment. So with this all being said, with all this stuff going on, it's for one thing, it's just ridiculous because they're not feeling any pain. The only one who's really feeling the pain are the people who are paying the taxes, or, once I can actually officially say that without being hypocritical, those who are working. We're the ones paying for the other people to enjoy themselves, be entertained, and do whatever they want to do, and there's no one to stop them, thanks to our lovely government who does not care on what's going on, and that our country, whoever takes over from whoever's in the office now in our government, is going to have their hands filled, and that's the truth. So I'm just making that noted. I might try to get rid of these really nasty stories because one's actually around here. It's from Hatfield. Hatfield's right down the street from where I live practically. You might as well say that. And this shows you the amount of irresponsible people. And this is Pennsylvania. This guy might be an undocumented citizen, whatever you want to call it, because I'm trying to keep it politically correct. I have no clue why. Because this man... it was in Hatfield again. I live in Trooper. This was in Hatfield. I'm looking for his name now because one of the stories actually had his name. But he had raped a six-year-old child in her bed. He broke into the house and he broke an apartment. He broke in there. It was Hatfield Village Apartments in the Hatfield Township on Monday at 4 a.m., and it wasn't the first time he had broken in this apartment and he raped a 6-year-old. But there's a reason I'm saying, because they're kind of like tiptoeing around the fact this guy, he was a repeated sex offender, by the way, too. Herrera. It looks like Herrera is his name. But he was he was up on other counts of sexual, like rape and other things. So, you got our country who just, lets people in this country and then we can't get rid of them who come in here illegally. I'm not saying either way, but the most of the people illegally come in this country are escaping their countries because they are criminal offenders or sex offenders, like what do you call it, said Donald Trump. It's true. And they want to hear it, and then they say, well, it's not happening around here, so it's not a problem. Well, yeah, it is. It actually is happening right down the street, literally down the road from where I live. Not that far. Hatfield's like about 15, 20 minutes away from my home, so that's not far at all. And I've I heard stories like this in Trooper, in Norristown, so you can't use that excuse. Well, it's not happening around here, so it's not an issue. Yeah, it actually is. This is just ridiculous. Again, it's because you have a bunch of people who don't take any responsibility for anything. Here was one. I was actually always wanted to go down to New Orleans. Here's a guy, and he actually another one, probably an undocumented citizen, New Orleans, Louisiana. But this man was up on kidnapping a woman, a 56-year-old man named Mario Perez, and this is not the first time he's done, and he had like a house of horrors, as they put it. He had like torture stuff set up. He was already up on doing the same thing in New Jersey, according to this article. And by the way, I didn't tell you, it's no big deal. They're probably all in the same link, the Dreamin' Demon. But this one is actually the Dreamin' Demon. It is, and it says that this man, the 56-year-old Mario Perez, after he basically abducted a woman with somebody else, and he was planning to torture her, and he was up on, again, offenses in New Jersey, which is one state over from where I live, and nobody wants to do anything about this. Again, it's just basically swept under the rug or ignored, or, we can't say anything about this because then we're not, we're being offensive to someone, who is not legally in his country. They get more respect and more given to them than we do as American citizens born in this country. So, and there was some other ones. Again, I just want to get these knocked out as quickly as possible, and I'll keep the show pretty timid tonight. I had another story. There was two different sources. The one on this guy who raped a 6-year-old in Hatfield, by the way. You can also find that on the Reporter News, which is a Lansdale newspaper, because Hatfield is adjoined to Trooper, Eagleville, and not too far, at least, and Lansdale. So there you go. Going back one story, I can give you at least one of the sources. There was two different ones. This was a very disturbing story. This was on the Dreamin' Demon, by the way. So the other one was in the first one. The second one was, and here we go again. Kenya Davis. I didn't think I would get her name right, but I actually did. Kenyatta. Actually, it's Kenyatta Davis. This is another horrific story where this woman was torturing her two kids, like literally torturing them. There was a news segment on that one, and she was using everything on her two children, from an iron to a drill, electric drill, and drilling a hole into her child's hand for not to discipline her kids. And she had a very nice house. She looks like somebody who probably, no offense, is probably living off getting some type of subsidized housing and other things. And this is the appreciation she gives back. She has kids that she tortures. And this woman had a sister who had enough of seeing it, or at least saw it. This was happening for years. These kids were being tormented for years now, which is a shame for these poor kids because they have nothing to say. They were 11, 12 now, but this happened most of their lives, of their mother torturing them. And the mother would be well-dressed and had taken care of herself very, to the largest extent, but she literally tortured her kids physically. And that's not right. So that to me is just very upsetting. Let's see. There was another story. I made sure this time to find the links to where this locations are. I have one from El Dorado, and I was trying to see where exactly this was, and it's in Arkansas. Lori Shepard has been charged after her 10-month-old son was found limp, unresponsive after she gave him Bourbon to calm him down. Lori Shepard charged with getting her 10-year-old son drunk. So, it's just one offense after another. And most of these people are like the lowest caliber type people, no offense. But they get, again, government assistance most of the time, and everything silver spoon to them. And their appreciation is to have children they don't want, and basically being allowed, so to speak, to torture these children for years. Because even the one with the one before this, Lori Shepard, the one story beforehand, they said that the government did step in, which made me kind of think that this woman was on some type of subsidized housing. But, they were checking on her children. I forget what you call that. But they were checking on this woman's children, the one who was drilling holes in her children's hands and stuff. And, for being, the government stepped in and they just ignored the whole thing. They pretended like they didn't see anything. The one who brought this to light was the story before this one I'm reading now, was her sister, kind of realized, wait, why is my niece and nephew have burn marks and drill marks on their bodies? So she called the police and she reported it after the government for child care weren't going to do a freaking thing about it. So what is that telling you? You allow these people to procreate and you're not, and you let them do whatever they want to do, and they're basically masochists, and you're not doing anything about it. Nobody's doing anything about it. They don't care. All they worry about, well, we got to get these we get the head count up on people. The birth rate's so low, we need to get more children. Well, if you're going to have children just to torture them, I'd rather not see these children be put into a situation like that. That's my opinion, but I think that would hold some ground. Here's another one, and it's children torturing children. This is another really disturbing story. This was in Lothan. Let me see, County, Maryland. Okay, this happened in Maryland. This was on a Dream and Demon 2. It says police have charged two brothers, now get this, 12 and 14, with kidnapping after they say the pair had abducted a 9-year-old boy and an 8-year-old boy. So here's kids torturing other kids. Where do they get these ideas from to do this stuff? According to investigators, younger siblings were playing at the playground inside Boone's Mobile Park when the older brothers approached them by brandishing a knife. So these kids are now, they're 12 and 14, had abducted and threatened to torture or kill these other two children at the age of 9 and 8. A brother and sister were the younger ones. So there's some really disturbing people out there. And I think these children at that age of 12 and 14, they must learn this stuff somewhere. I don't think, I mean, they're not born that way. I would hope not. And if it is, I really would have to question it, because why weren't they in some type of psychiatric ward? But that's just really scary. Here's another one from the U.S., because I got some stories from probably other places too. This was Fox 43. I got this from my friend Todd. Wanted for twerking. Woman faces sex abuse charges for grinding on stranger. So this woman in Washington, D.C. was at one of those mini marts in a gas station, and she apparently started grinding her butt into this guy, and this guy had no clue who she was. So they got her on a surveillance camera, and she's going to be, or I don't know, she's going to be convicted for third-degree sexual abuse, and the maximum fine is about $100,000 and up to 10 years imprisonment. So what makes these people think they can get away with this stuff? I have no clue. There's a photo of the woman actually doing it. She's got one of those like ultra tight skirts on, or shorts. I don't know what it is, but I hear something ringing somewhere. But yeah, she's grinding her butt into this guy's groins, and the guy had no clue who she was. So I give kudos to the guy for at least making a complaint about it, and not saying, well, hey, this is great. Well, if she's doing it, you don't have no clue who this woman is, and she thinks she can do what she wants. Well, she's going to be in for a rude awakening when she has to pay that fine, or finds herself in jail for the next 10 years. So good for him. I'm going to make sure I'm just trying to get rid of these really nasty stories first. Did I read the one? I'm not sure, but this is one from England. It was actually London, England, Huffington Post, which I normally never read. A friend sent it to me. Mom gives dad oral sex at mall while their kids watch. Can you believe that, though? What is happening to our planet? Like, there's nowhere else that I know of we can go at this point. Mom gives dad oral sex at the mall while their kids watch. Again, a couple from Wales had oral sex as their children watched in the London Mall, and were banned from the UK capital for 2 months and warned by a judge not to repeat their public radness, according to the reports. Again, I just don't understand what is going on with people. It absolutely does not make any sense. It's mainly our country, but I think the rest of the globe is going into a farce as well. Yeah, I think that's the last of my really, really negative stories, so that's good. Now I can move on to light stuff. And by the way, this was on the Me TV web link. Happy 240th birthday, the U.S. Marines. Yes, because tomorrow is Veterans Day. So, yeah, it's coming up on their 240th anniversary. I didn't know the Marines were around that long. So that's news to me. Certain things. I learn things from looking things up for my show. Also from Me TV, happy birthday. And is today still the 10th? Yes, it is. So happy birthday to Russell Johnson. He actually is from my neck of the woods, at least from Pennsylvania. Russell Johnson is best known for playing the professor on Gilligan's Island. He just passed away last year, but it would have been his birthday if he was still around. So happy birthday anyway, and rest in peace. Some kind of weird news. American Horror Story was renewed for another season, so that's pretty cool, I guess. I'm not really happy with that show. I'll have to go into that, too, because I did buy one of these Apple TVs, the upgraded version. I wasn't going to do it, but I do use my Apple TV for certain things, certain shows, Big Bang Theory and stuff, Supergirl, American Horror Story, Scream Queens. There's a couple shows, some Doctor Who. Doctor Who, yes. I don't know if I'm going to get that the next season. I might. I don't know. But yeah, there was a story that was posted earlier today. I can say that for the next 2 hours. Of course, when the show gets put on the air, it's going to be already the next day. But yeah, they did announce. And I want to go in a little bit about the Apple TV. It's a new one, the 3264 gig one, either or. And I believe something. By the way, before I go into that, T-Mobile, this was something I found on Gizmodo. T-Mobile now lets you stream without it counting towards your data. So this guy is incredible, and I'm glad I bought a hotspot, which I haven't used, but when I went on that trip up to New York, that T-Mobile hotspot came in really freaking handy. So it says the T-Mobile's whole Un-carrier thing is an occasional series of events where the CEO, John Legere, gets on stage and puts down his cellular competition. Has been now going on a few years now, but now its 10th event, T-Mobile went big. Says goodbye to video streaming, gnoming away your data. So now he's introducing, it's called Introducing Binge On, only from T-Mobile. I'm actually remotely interested. I'm going to have to tell a friend about this if he hasn't seen it. So if you have a data plan for only a couple gigs, it won't matter. You can do all the streaming you want on T-Mobile. I did try to convince my friend before. You should really consider going for T-Mobile because I know I used it at work. I try to use the Works free internet. I don't think it's going to last very long, much longer at work if I go back to that job. Just because they're really losing bandwidth by allowing anybody on plant site to use their internet, because it's basically the purpose is their broadband at my job is to do business, not to watch TV shows and movies. But people throughout the plant site do that, and that really cripples the workplace. So, hey, and I'm telling you, their cheapest plan is like $50 a month. And if they go to this unlimited data for streaming TV shows and movies, it's well worth it. Trust me. And that's absolutely free, by the way. If you already have a contract with T-Mobile, they said this is not going to cost you any extra. This is basically just another thing added to your existing membership or whatever you want to call it, your contract. So, yeah, this guy is really breaking leaps and bounds. I said this before. I said T-Mobile as a cell phone carrier, they're not that good but for the data age, T-Mobile, you won't get anybody better. That's my personal opinion, but yes. Yeah, you would definitely want T-Mobile and I'm glad I got them because now they got this unlimited for streaming Netflix, HBO Now, HBO Go, Hulu, Sling, Watch ESPN, Showtime, Stars, you name it. They're all unlimited streaming at, it says delivers on DVD-like quality for 480p or better. And it says, once again, it's all free. Obviously, the bigger missing link is YouTube, but T-Mobile says they're working on Google on getting YouTube in the program. So, yeah, they're all jumping on board. Again, I'm going to have to go back because I can see this happen in the near future. I didn't see it with the old Apple TV, but the new one I actually do see what they're going towards. So I want to go back to that in a minute. I do have one more story. A friend, I found it actually first. No big deal. I really don't care. But a friend did send it to me again. On Cinema Blend, Supergirl just saw another major rating drop. I don't understand because I actually liked the show. They did change things politically. They changed things to be politically correct, though. And Supergirl is one of them that definitely had they had to make everything politically correct. But you know what? I kind of put that aside because the show is really good. And that's one of my second or third top rated favorite shows. and now they're talking that the ratings are horrible. It says, given just how much TV is currently set up on Monday nights, it's tough. It's a tough time to try and go for broke in the ratings. Supergirl is currently experiencing that woes firsthand and has gone through the second major rating tumble in 2 weeks. It's only had 2 episodes so far. If it trends up, it keeps up, they might have to change the name of the show to Marginally Watch Girl. That's pretty funny. Do you have to change the names of the shows based on ratings? Probably not. So I really liked the first 2 episodes. I didn't watch the third one yet, but I was really pleased with what I seen. Much more than the shows from the producer and director of Glee. I just don't understand why it's not doing that well. And they got top-notch actors. The one guy who actually, he's an African-American playing Jimmy Olsen, but that guy's a really good actor. I said they should just make him a different character because they're really giving him a weak character, and he's not a weak person. The way he presents himself in the other shows. He was in, I think, True Blood, and this particular actor, he's a really good actor, and they just gave him like a nerd part to play a macho guy, which the character is not macho. He's a nerdy character. It was Jimmy Olsen, and I thought that was probably one of the things they basically ruined on that show. But everything else was pretty good. I mean, they changed certain things. They're trying to make it more to uplift young women and girls to have a superhero that's a female, and I think they did a really good job. But I just think that maybe you really can't be too politically correct. I mean, because years ago, you can keep the character feminine because they did that with Wonder Woman, but you don't have to make it that she's some, news reporter. It was just a mirror reflection of Superman with her, which I don't mind. I really do like the show. Don't get me wrong. I actually really enjoy it. I was hoping it would make it through the first season, but apparently the ratings are so horrible it may not even make it through a season 1. But I actually enjoy it. So in some ways, I don't understand. The villains are really cool. The setup of the show is just incredible. So again, I just, maybe they're just being too politically correct, and people are really fed up with that, I guess. So they've ruined a lot of comic book, graphic novels, whatever you want to call them, shows, and maybe that's what their downfall is at this point. Yeah, I can go off about Apple TV. Maybe I will now because oh, you know what? I forgot about this story. Maybe I'll read this. I thought I was done with my doom and gloom stories. I actually found this on American News. I'll just briefly look at it. It says Texas mom, it was the other day, who tore 6-year-old son's genitals to try to glue him with super glue. And now she's facing jail time. San Antonio, Texas, a woman charged with assaulting a 6-year-old son by tearing his genitals and attempting to glue them back was sentenced to prison on Thursday morning. This was this past week, I think, obviously. Jennifer Vargas, 34, was arrested by the FBI last fall after she admitted to being angry and yanking her son's testicles, which she created a 4-centimeter-long laceration. In an attempt to cover up her mistake, she poured rubbing alcohol on the wound and then tried to stop the bleeding with super glue. That is really smart. Anyway, I do have that on there. I do want to find some a little bit more uplifting stories that I totally forgot about, though. Because I do have some better stories to read that are not so gruesome, so to speak. Actually, last night, I actually thought it was really good. I'm going to have to look for that now. Because I was going to town on that TV box, the Apple box. It is actually really nice. If you have the previous one, it is kind of a generous upgrade, so to speak. And they are going in one direction with that. But before I even go into that, one of the shows I watched on that, because Netflix looks very nice on the Apple TV, and this is really good. I recommend this because he reminds me of Stephen Hawkins. This guy's British too. He's a younger guy. I thought the guy was only in his 30s. I haven't mentioned his name yet. He's a physicist, I think, some type of scientist, and he only looks like he's in his 30s. He's my age, and he looks younger to me. But he's a big Doctor Who fan too. But see, that's the thing. I mentioned this the other day. Oh, great! I'm going to start it up now. It's called A Night. Let me go back, because it was actually going to try to start it too. A Night. I got to go back again. British guy. It keeps on trying to load it, and it's not going to load. I don't want to load it. But he explains science fact with science fiction, basically. Let me see. It says A Night with the Stars, the Science of Doctor Who. It was a 2013 thing. It's incredible because this guy, his theories, a lot of them are like Stephen Hawkins on his theory. It says this movie is cerebral. That's what it's actually marked. His name's Brian Cox. It has Brian Cox. He's the scientist. I think, again, he's either a physicist or something else in thing of science. Anyway, this is all factual, though, in theory, true theories. And he explains about theories from Einstein and some other scientists from back in the 1860s, 1830s, the theories from physicists and other scientists. And they combine this with the theory of Doctor Who, how much of this could actually really happen and how much can't. Obviously, most of it cannot. But theory, is there other life out there? Theory on time travel, which Einstein did have his theory not only on relativity, but also possibly on time travel. Could it actually be made true? Theory on the black hole, which was actually a lot of this stuff. That reminds me, too, also goes into Carl Sagan, who was another one who was an incredible on astronomy. Astronomy? Am I saying that right? No, astronomy, not astrology. Yeah, but this guy, Brian Cox, is, in my opinion, the next Stephen Hawkins, but better, because Stephen Hawkins was more of a big Star Trek fan, and that's where he gets, and I think Stephen Hawkins, as his disease or his problem has progressively gotten worse and made Stephen Hawkins even more crippled. I hate to use that word. Stephen Hawkins has really gone off the deep end on a lot of his theories. Now, Brian Cox is still pretty much level grounded, which I really like to see. And I'm not even sure. I haven't heard, and I apologize for not knowing this, but did maybe my friend Matt would know better. Did Carl Sagan actually pass away? I could probably look that up now. But you're talking like these are the big wigs. But this guy, Brian Cox, is up there, in my opinion. So I'm going to look up Carl Sagan because this man wrote crap loads of really... Okay, yeah, he died, God, back in 96. I'm a real idiot. But Carl Sagan, Stephen Hawking... to me, they're the big wigs. It says people also search for Bill Nye, Stephen Hawking, Nick Sagan, and Drew or whatever, and Neil deGrasse Tyson or something. I haven't heard of these other people because there's a woman in the mix. But Carl Sagan, growing up, was a big thing on PBS. I actually bought that series. I never even got through it, but it's really, really deep. I actually did. This guy is so intense as Brian Cox on his theories. I hate to admit to this, but I actually started falling asleep and I had this little table mate thing, that little plastic table thing you can watch and put food on and beverages. Well, I had a soda and I literally started falling asleep listening to the man because, I mean, it's so freaking deep. I mean, his theory on science and trying to explain it, even though he dumbs it down. For the these were big wigs at his university. He's actually a professor in England, and he was given a lecture, comparing Doctor Who to true facts and theories. And I started falling asleep. I actually fell asleep on the table and knocked over a cup of soda, which thank God it was pretty much empty, so it didn't stain too bad, but it had carpet in where the cup fell over. But this guy, he's really deep. It's something you would have to watch more than once. It says, here I was right, noted physicist. He is a physicist. Brian Cox joins Matt Smith and other stars on the cult science sci-fi hit of Doctor Who to discuss the show's scientific credibility. And this man is really, really good. I mean, honestly, I think he's definitely running the forefront from Carl Sagan. And Carl Sagan, Carl Sagan is the one I think he's gotten that Brian Cox gets a lot of his information off of. But I was going to say Stephen Hawkins. I think Stephen Hawkins has got a little bit more so he's gotten more eccentric. And talking about dates, because I mentioned 1860, I think 1830s were some of the things that this Brian Cox was talking about with certain scientists. Yeah, I was mentioning something about the time period the other day when I was mentioning about going to see the play of Misery based upon Stephen King's book. Well, the Misery books, they're fictional books in a fictional story. The fictional books of Misery were actually in the 1800s. I actually said 1900s, so I'm going to stand corrected now. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to look at this later. Special Friday the 13th screening. Interested. I just got this, so maybe I can actually tell my friend I might be able to go still. I just got this in my email, so heads up to people out there. I'm going to forward this to my friend right now who might want to go, but he already actually reset his time. I'll do it myself if I have off. I'll read it to everybody who may listen. If you're new to this event, please note that Camp Nubetsku, or whatever, it's where they shot basically Friday the 13th, is a private property on the Boy Scouts of America, for the Boy Scouts of America. To protect the health and safety of our youth campers, the camp is not open for visitors at any time outside the official tour date. Having trespassers on the property makes it harder for us to get approved for the official tours. Thanks for your understanding. But then it says underneath, special Friday the 13th movie screening. It says, if you're interested in the special Friday the 13th movie screening at Roy's Hall, a.k.a. Blairstown Theater, this Friday the 13th at 6:30 p.m., the historic theater, as seen in the movie, is currently closed, so we were lucky and excited to be able to offer this. Tickets are $25 each and will help the owners begin the renovation work for the from the grand opening in the spring. So, yeah, I might actually do it. It's a 2-hour drive because it is in actually New Jersey. So, yeah, I got to send this to a friend. I'm going to do it right now. And these tickets will probably sell out, believe it or not, just as fast. The thing with they were doing a tour for this Friday, it actually sold out in less than what was I going to say? It actually sold out in less than less than 1 minute. So I'm going to see if I can get a ticket for this, because this will probably sell just as quickly. But yeah, if you're interested, I'm going to say I'm going to buy my ticket now, because if I don't, I will lose out. So I might as well do it now, and I will figure out a way to get there, because it is this Friday the 13th, and it won't be a total waste because I actually was so psyched to go to this. Yeah, maybe I'll try to get my one friend Matt to go with me, because I have nothing going on. So, yeah. So, folks, like I said, I just got this in an email. I know the tickets are going to sell out really, really quick. So I'm going to purchase my ticket now. Friday the 13th movie fee 20. So it's like $30. More info. I've gone to other places in Jersey. It's not that big of a deal. Again, Friday, November 13th at 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Add to calendar. Order now. And see, please complete in the next 20 minutes. So there we go. I buy 2 tickets, but I'm afraid I'm going to at least buy my ticket now. So sorry about that. Give me a second. I was going to buy one for my friend too, but I've gone to enough of this stuff on my. The field marks are required. Total is 27 something. Oh. Give me a second, folks. In fact, right this second, I'm going to pause this to buy my ticket, and I will be back in a brief second.
You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
All right, folks. Hey, it's Walter. I'm back again. I apologize for that. Actually, it was longer than a few minutes. You can't tell because the break was just very short. Anyway, yeah, I'll just have to. Anyway, yeah, I actually glad I looked at my email. There, yeah, that Camp Naboo thing. I'm sure it's going to sell out. The tickets were $27, but that purchase to that ticket is actually going towards the Boy Scouts and a local movie theater within Blairstown that will go towards restoring the place. Other news that, hey, if you're a big Friday the 13th fan, be happy to know. I'm not going to be too happy, though, at this point. But this thing I donated to, this thing called Kickstarter, actually reached and, obviously, believe it or not, surpassed their goal of making $700,000 towards making, funding the video game being made for Friday the 13th. Yeah, it actually did. It won the goal. It's got 3 days left. They're still taking donations. They did not shut down yet. But they're over $700,000. Their goal was $700,000. They're actually well over $700,000 by almost $6,000 more. So they're and it just went up again as I'm speaking. So it won over the $700,000 mark, which your goal was to make this game. Which, bottom line, is it tells you a lot of people love the Friday the 13th franchise. It had taken a leap of $519 just in the last second, but it was at it's $6,500 over the given goal that they needed to make this game become the real thing, the real deal. So you got 3 days left. If you're interested, go to Kickstart. If you're a big Friday the 13th fan like me, look for the Friday the 13th the game on Kickstart, and you make a pledge. I think it's around $75. You not only get updates, emails, all this other jazz, insiders. You also get absolutely with your donation. You're not getting it for free, but you're actually, games are expensive. I was in the GameStop tonight. They're not cheap. They're about $50, $60 for a game. This is guaranteed that they will send you out a boxed copy of the game for your Xbox One, your PlayStation 4, or your PC. Unfortunately, I don't make it for Mac. I wish they did. But, yeah, so just give you a heads up on that. Yeah, so I was kind of psyched. I was really disappointed. I didn't think I would be going to Blairstown. It looks like in the next couple days I will. I don't have anything else planned according to yet. That's a 2-hour drive for me, so it's kind of a hike. Yeah, so at least this part of the night for me was uplifting. Unfortunately, it's getting close to midnight, which means it'll be the next day. Yeah, what was I going to say? I got that Apple TV. I got it from Best Buy because Best Buy gives you the best deal. Simply that for the Apple TV, the new one, you can get, if you have a Best Buy card, which I do, you're not going to really save any money, but they will give you 6 months interest-free to pay for the unit off. So 6 months is about like pretty much, let's see, and I also bought Apple Care. I always recommend anything you buy from Apple, because Apple's expensive to fix, buy the Apple Care. So I'm going to put in the price I paid for everything with tax and all. Then I'm going to divide that by, or wait, let's see, 6 months divided by 4. Clear. Sorry about that. My math is so bad. 6 times 4, which equals 24. So you're going to take 6 months, divide that by 24, or the other way around. 24 divided by 6. You're talking literally a week, if I'm correct. You're talking like $4 a week. You can own that unit. So you say 4 times 24. No, that's not actually right. 24 times. I thought it was about $10 a week. Yeah, it's about right. It's about 10, 11. Well, make it more like $12 a week. No, that actually is. Actually, no. So you're talking about for the, I mean, I spend more money on goofy crap, food, whatever, for about $10 a week for the next 6 months. If you wanted to go that route, you can buy with the warranty the new Apple TV and not have to worry about the interest. As long as you pay it off with $10 a week, you can have your very own Apple TV, and it is very nice. The thing I was going to push about the Apple TV, though, is now they're really going towards convincing people with the Apple TV. They're trying to get people. The guy at Best Buy basically told me, oh, if you go with the Best Buy and you buy the Apple Care, which they sign you up, Apple did send me out an email on the Apple Care. And I told him, what if I'm not interested or I just changed my mind on the product I bought? He says, you got 15 days from the purchase to return it for a full refund, and they will even refund my Apple Care. So you get all your money back. You're not losing anything. You just got to put everything back in the box you got it shipped or bought it in. For the Apple Care, you don't get any box for the Apple Care, but for the unit, the Apple TV. So I asked him, I said, well, again, if I'm not interested, we'll give you all your money back. If you decide to keep it, not only you get the Apple Care as an incentive from buying from Best Buy, they also give you, again, this is truly an incentive. They will back up your Apple Care plan with their own plan. So that means if you don't want to go to an Apple store to get your unit fixed, don't worry about it. And you got a Best Buy that's closer because there's more Apple Best Buy stores than Apple stores. That's not a problem. The guy said, well, the way they're trying to get people to buy from Best Buy instead of the Apple store, the Apple products, is they give you that option that if your unit breaks or needs to be worked on, but basically what they do is they just replace it. You just go back to the Best Buy store because you also get, in addition, at no extra cost, because I got it's a 2-year warranty, no extra cost again. You also get that 2-year coverage on the Geek Squad. So, yeah, you can take it to any Best Buy store, and it's covered. So that was definitely, without a doubt, that was a very big incentive. And I've had Apple products. The only thing so far I've ever gotten from Apple that I was seriously disappointed in, which was a real waste of money, was that Apple iWatch. That was ridiculous. That was the biggest mistake I made. I listened to, because I love Rush Limbaugh, I listened to him. He said, oh, yeah, it's so great. Better than, next best thing. He didn't say it like that. I'm saying it. Next big thing since sliced bread. And it was like, no, this is actually a real waste of money. And I fell for it because I believed Rush. But just because he likes it doesn't mean you're going to like it. I thought it was a waste of money. So, yeah, I would stay away from that. But the Apple TV is very nice. What they're trying to do, what I was trying to get at, I guess, I didn't do it yet. He basically said, well, if you want the 64 gig one, he says, if you're you would do that if you're considering getting rid of your TV, not your TV, but your cable unit. And I was like, well, I always go for the bigger ones anyway, as far as gigs or storage space. So I obviously went for this. It's not much difference. For an extra 30, I think it's like $40. You're getting twice the amount of memory, storage memory. So anyway, I'm getting a call back from a friend. I don't want to pause again. I want to finish my show first. So that being said, I went for the bigger unit, and it wasn't that much more money, and you get 6 months insurance free. But it was like, okay, how is this going to replace your television? Well, that's very simple. The other one, Apple TV, did the same thing. But what was I going to say? What was I going to mention? God, I'm drawing a blank now. I'm sorry, because I saw the phone ring. The bigger one unit of space is because you can actually save the old one you could not do this. You can save your music right onto your Apple little unit. You can also save TV shows. And that's like that actually is impressive. That will take up, even 64 gigs is not going to be enough room to do that. But you can, basically store some of your music at least right on your device, which is really nice. And certain movies you can, you don't have to worry about it otherwise. That alone was a nice incentive. But when I actually was fooling around with it last night, it's a little bit easier to use. The controller is much easier. They're pushing this whole thing about video games now too. Their games are equivalent to the NES, Nintendo NES, as far as game quality. And they play pretty well, but what you can buy, you would need a regular controller to actually physically play the games. They will not play too well otherwise on it depends what game you're playing. I was trying to play some racing game. It was free. And it was all right, but you know what? I'm more for like renting movies, watching TV shows when I have time, which I obviously have more now than I normally do. But for the most part, I'm not much. I'll buy games and I never freaking play them ever. So again, that being said, I'm not going to buy the game controller. I really don't need it. I doubt I'll play the games that they even give you for free. They're just going to sit on the unit, taking up hard drive space. But anyway, what was I going to mention, though? The thing that was really nice, again, is the fact that this thing, they now allow you, it has an OS on there. It literally has an OS. It looks pretty similar to the old Apple TV setup, but this is actually running an OS on it as opposed to something that's basically, all Apple products run some sort of OS, but this is actually a desktop OS, so to speak, that's got basically as the GUI on top, something that's very similar to what was on the other one. But it also connects to, which you could not before, to the Apple App Store, so you can actually download apps on this thing, which is kind of cool. It does not give you actually any apps when you first sign up the device. It actually does use Siri to search for things, which isn't too bad on the Apple device. And the other thing that's really nice is, like, if you have cable, your cable shows like HBO Go and stuff, that's for your mobile phone, your iPad to watch TV shows, your other mobile devices. These shows and movies, if you have HBO Stars or any of these other ones, you can actually, instead of watching them on your mobile device, you can now watch them on your big screen TV without losing any quality. So that was really nice. Not any quality, but any quality. The quality is not going to be downgraded. That's really nice. So that was cool. But the thing that was a real nice thing, which I was like, this unit can technically pay for itself, because right now, I couldn't do this really properly without watching on a media device or my TV set, or not my TV set, on my computer. There are certain shows you can probably get from the TV networks, like NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox channels. You have to actually, if you want to watch, like, oh, I missed this TV show tonight, how am I going to watch it? So you got to go and watch it on the computer. Well, I hate doing it. I want to watch it on my TV set. I don't want to watch it on my computer if I missed a TV show. So those TV shows in particular, I end up purchasing a season pass. Well, guess what? With the Apple TV now, you can actually, you have to, you download the app, takes like a second, and then how the TV networks make out, they're ask you, okay, we need you, they're not going to charge you for this. You got to go to the website, say it's in particularly CBS, NBC, whatever, and you American Horror Story. Okay, I want to watch, I missed it, I want to watch it, which I purchased all these shows, not knowing, because this wasn't out until now. You can go to your Apple TV device, you say, okay, I want that app on my TV. So you put the app on your Apple TV, and it'll say, okay, you just got to go to the web link, you got to register it. Why do you want to register it? Because that way these networks can keep track of what shows are being watched. It's like basically your Nielsen rating in your house. So it's actually not doing them any harm. You're actually at least letting them know what you're interested in watching and what you're not. So, and it's not going to cost you any money to do so. The only difference is, yeah, you're going to get commercials and stuff, but hey, I'll take the commercials and I'll save myself $30 for doing so for every show I purchased at that range, of $30 or whatever. So, for me, it's well worth it. The Apple TV would have paid for the 3 shows. There was like 2 or 3 shows I just purchased. If I knew that Apple TV was going to go in this direction, this is why they're saying it will possibly replace your cable, because the major networks aren't charging you. They're just going to put commercials in. And most of your cable channels are commercialized, so they're not losing anything, because the commercials are paying for these TV shows. And how the commercials get paid is if you buy any of those products, obviously, that's where the money comes in for, the commercials. They're paying money to these networks, these commercials. And then what these commercials want to get in return is you to buy their product. So how do they know this is happening? Because you're watching that particular show. The commercials going around these particular shows on these networks are paying not only for the shows, but they're also it's getting reciprocated to the people who are advertising on there. So it's a win-win situation for everyone, in my opinion, and everybody's making out pretty well, and you're not paying. And what I'm saying is, okay, say there's 4 shows that you really like, say 5, just hypothetically, $30. I'm going to say the average of $30 to $40. Let me go, say $40 per show, because if you buy them on Blu-ray, that's what it's going to cost you. I'm hypothetically speaking. You got 4 shows might be just enough. 4 shows you really like watching. Now you find out, hey, I can get the apps on an Apple TV. So I'm going to put in $40 at 4, which would be $160. So, okay, I got 4 TV shows I really like. First season around on TV shows. I got the Apple TV for $150, the new one. And I plug it in, and I sign up for these networks. They're not going to charge you anything, the big ones. And there's like a couple shows I like watching on a daily basis. I'm never home to watch. I can watch at my own convenience. Those 4 shows would have cost you on to purchase those from a streaming network $160 at the $40 rate. Well, there you go. Those 4 that money you just plunked down on that Apple TV is now being paid for in full if you get the 32 gig one within just basically watching 4 shows, because you're not paying for those out of pocket. Let's add another show. So let's go 5 shows at $40 a pop. So you got $40 times 5 shows. Okay, that pays for the 64 gig one. So you got 5 shows on any given network. I'm just averaging out because the shows do vary on their prices. They can go from anywhere from $19 for a season if it's a new show, all the way up to $40 for shows that are, been on for 5 seasons, 6 seasons, 7 seasons. It all varies. $32. So I'm doing the variable. I'm saying $40. If you watch at least 5 shows, you don't mind the little commercial breaks. They're not as bad as the ones you're going to get when you watch regular TV, because those go on forever. These are pretty simple, straightforward commercials. You can pause it if you have to go to the bathroom. You can't do that with regular TV. Well, you can if you have TiVo, but TiVo is another cost on your bill. This is going to cost you nothing. So just a heads up, 5 shows, you got your 120, your 64 gig. Basically, after one season, it pays for itself, literally. So that's not bad. Now, if you wanted to get to AppleCare, which I do recommend, that's an extra $25, I think, or $24. So you're basically talking add another show to your season, not even, that you would watch on a regular basis. On the Apple TV, you paid for that too. So to me, that alone was really pretty intriguing. Now, I have a friend, my friend Matt, he has actually Fios, not TV. He doesn't have cable. He has Fios for the internet because he needs his internet for his business and other things. So you got Fios TV, Fios. You can get channels now that are like cable or satellite quality on your Apple TV, because guess what? The new Apple TV, by the way, shows you live broadcasting on these certain networks that are the TV networks. So Apple TV will replace, if you have an HD antenna, because now everything is HD ready, you really won't even need that anymore, because Apple is going to put that down too. Apple will replace your regular, if you watch TV with a regular aerial, you're still going to get the blackouts and stuff. You won't get that because Apple TV, these networks realize that, hey, you can either watch literally live TV, and that includes PBS, by the way, and they're growing on their networks. You can watch live TV. If you miss a show, you don't have to worry about TiVo in the show. You can watch it because these networks put their shows up on their web page. Now you don't have to watch it on your computer. You can watch it on your freaking TV. You can't beat that. So I thought that was really cool. Anyway, folks, I probably missed some stuff. I did actually say this should be a guilty pleasure. But when I was a kid, I grew up when I was like about 8 years old. I remember being in middle school. Not actually middle school. It was actually first and second grade. It was me and this kid. We really used to love, when we were kids, we used to love reading these Charlie Brown books, the Peanuts books. So that's what we used to do. Now, him, unlike me, he actually, from reading those Charlie Brown books, which were basically just cartoon books, no matter how you look at it, he actually, I'm not even kidding, I swear, and I don't mean to do that, he would get a stack of books higher than his body, I mean, regular books, and he would read all these books. I mean, I'm talking about 10 or 20 books a week. This was in like first grade. He would read every single book by the end of the week and have it back in the library and take more books out. Well, guess what got him interested, and this is no joke, in reading, were these damn Snoopy books. And it was like, it didn't work for me, obviously, but it definitely worked for him. So he got so intrigued by just reading these Snoopy books, he wanted more than just reading little balloon things out of these comic strip books of Charlie Brown. He actually went further. But we would, for years, we were like beat on who could buy the most Snoopy books when we were kids. And that lasted for years. And when there was the King of Prussia Mall years ago, where the mall was actually open at the King of Prussia. You used to walk outdoors to get to the different buildings. Well, they had this, I told a friend today, they had this kiosk which had all this peanut gallery stuff, Snoopy, Charlie Brown, things like that. And it was really, really cool. So that was like when I was like 13 years old, 12 years old. That was like me, that would like be my my binge thing. Like, oh yeah, I would definitely want to do that. So go over there and buy like stuff. So I actually did, and yeah, I was like buying little trinkets and stuff. I actually, years ago, I did write, I might have mentioned this before, even on the air. I know I mentioned to friends. I did write Charles and Schultz when I was a kid, and I got a response letter back. It's not from him, but it was just so cool. But the bottom line is, it was just, for me, it was for nostalgic reasons. And two, I was just kind of intrigued to see something I grew up with, because every Christmas, every Halloween, every Valentine's Day, I will watch the Charlie Brown specials on TV, or, at this point, I've had them for years. When they came out on DVD, I bought those just for the sake of watching them once again. And, at that time, it's just like a little ritual for Halloween. So guess what? I went and seen the movie today, and it was really cool. I was like actually laughing at it. It was like, oh my God, these kids that got to do the voices, what do you call it, was sounded just like the ones from the original cartoons that were made back in the 50s. I think there was like Charlie Brown specials date back to the 50s. So, yeah, it was just intriguing how they could get voices that matched up to, these characters doing the voices, and they sounded almost exactly the same. I don't know how they did that. So, I went and seen that. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I had this woman who went in there. It was at the movie tavern, and it was a woman. It was all by myself, and I even said to him, I said, "Yeah, this is bad enough. I'm going to a kids' movie by myself, but there's nobody in here, so I'm not worried about it. I'm by myself in a movie theater. I don't have to worry about getting looked down upon or made frown upon, because I'm just wanted to really see this movie." Because it was, hey, it's Charlie Brown. What do you expect? I mean, adults of all ages love Charlie Brown. And what was I going to say? So I was like happy, but then this lady comes in with her two little daughters. These kids are like 6 years old. They were just unbelievable. They were running all around the movie theater. They slopped up. There was only 4 people. That would include this lady with her 2 daughters, myself, in a big theater. But the movie tavern serves food, so they had food all over the place, and they trashed the place. Between 2 little girls and this woman, they trashed the place. And it was me, and the guy was really nice who actually waited on me. He gave me free popcorn, and he says, "I can give you a water." I said, "No, I got to at least buy something. I had purchased something, so I got a soda." Sodas are expensive, and I gave him a decent tip. I gave him like $2. Like, dude, you gave me free popcorn. The popcorn in the movie theater, and it was a reasonable size. He gave it to me for free. Would cost like $5. I'm not even kidding. So he gave it to me for free. It's like I show my appreciation. I can't let you work for free. I mean, you're getting paid from showing these movies, but they're also waiters. Again, it's a movie tavern, and I really appreciated that. Enjoyed the movie, but those kids were just out of control. That was the only part I really could not stand. But yeah, that was the highlight of my day. Now I got this other thing. I got to listen to my voicemail, see if I'm going to actually have somebody go with me. I'm not sure at this point. But folks, I'm just babbling on at this point, so I apologize. I'm going to cut myself off. Nip this at the bud, and I will try to be back. Now, obviously, this week I'll be busy again because I'll be taking a day trip down to Jersey on Friday, and I'll be leaving in the afternoon because it's a 2-hour drive. Anyway, folks, sorry for this long-winded thing, and hope you enjoyed my show, and I'll sign it off for now. So, thanks for listening to me on this. Now, Veterans Day, right? No, it's not Veterans Day yet. It will be when I post this, though. Trust me. So I'm on good timing. Thanks again for listening to iWalter.